together to magic extreme worlds. It's extreme. When we stream this hard, I just want to put my streams in you. I want to put my streams in you. And you'll be begging me for more streams. Carl, drop your heart
Rick was okay.
I'm thinking we need a consensual warning on this.
Yeah, right. All right, this is Art of Rock. Yeah, no, you know me. I've been first and foremost. I'd like to acknowledge the ground I'm on as Tongva land, and I thank them for surviving. And the first steps towards land reconciliation in your area is to learn their name. Learn the names of the people whose ground you are on. I should warn you, for some reason, Australian things are in my feed a lot, so my accent has come out more than usual. What does that even mean? Welcome to the Art of Rock. We do this every Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon or Saturday night, depending on where you are in the world or depending on what time you're watching this fantastic kerfuffle. Is internet going to work for me today? Who knows? Art of Rock, it's right there. And you can watch it on YouTube. YouTube's right there. This is made possible with Angelspit's Patreon. That was a good song I was singing at the beginning. Thank you so much. I just want to put my streams in you. Electric Streams. Oh, it just writes itself. We will be talking about X-rated musical content later because of the whole fucking YouTube 18-minute thing. Angelspit's Patreon. There it is. It can be free or it can be $3 a month. It's up to you. Or it can be more. It's whatever you want, really. Angelspit's new album, Red End, is there. I'm fucking happy with this album, and I hope you are too. And if you backed it, you should have them by now. Everything's gone. So it's gone out the door. And thank you again, Ivan and Brett and Raziel. It's all gone out the door. Chugga chugga chugga. Wednesday nights, Vulture Culture does the deep dive into synthesizers. And I must warn you, it will be bloody awesome because it is bloody awesome. I'm wearing my Scum shirt. You better work or I'll punch you, fucking computer. Scum shirt! And it's good fun. It's pure good fun. MTV TV is where we will be rating Whenceforth and Twix afterwards. And they're bloody awesome, and you're going to find new music, I promise, that you'll love there. And that is MTV TV's fucking URL. Email, send them your shit, and they will play it. MTV TV has got a Patreon, and it's bloody awesome, and you should go there and give those bastards money because they fucking rock. Sorry, the Australian just came out just then. That's indivisible.org, and the democracy of this country is bloody awesome, and it's worth preserving, and indivisible.org will help you work within the legal frameworks and your constitutional rights because it's fucking great. Darkmusic.net's great fun because it doesn't have a fucking algorithm and it's good fun. And if you're struggling with... Hi, Frank. Do you want to come up here? Okay, that's a no. You can stay down there. You know, for such a huge cat, you have such a cute little meow. That's a 12-step recovery for compulsive media use. It's now officially an issue, guys. Gotta watch that dopamine because it's wrecking y'alls. I want to also say a big hi to Brett, who is here. Here's Brett's music, which is Demon Hate, or Demon 8. Ivan, this is Ivan's music. Go get that shit. And the one and the only Raziel, the rock star. This is
Fun fact,
Razie's...
there's actually 3 of me.
There are 3 of you. I find an army of me very... But thank you. There's Raziel's stuff. Go get all this shit. Go get your fucking music. And importantly today, this is still going on. This is a GoFundMe for Drake. If you got a couple of bucks, throw it towards Drake. Drake needs it now. Okay, so, oh my God, welcome. Hey, so last week, after we ended the stream, we had a conversation about using AIs to bounce music ideas off. And we were talking about, like, and this was quite mind-blowing to me, is that using ChatGPT to upload a demo track, ChatGPT can give you a rundown of what it thinks about the mix. And if you say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm going to throw the floor over to you guys. And I stress this is a positive conversation about using an AI as a writing partner. And there's going to be negatives and positives. So maybe it won't be positive. I don't fucking know. You can update it and it'll say, oh, here's some thoughts. So glue me in on this. Like, have you done it? What's it like as a writing partner? How can I use ChatGPT to help me write music? Brett, what are your thoughts?
Right. So, obviously the big concern there is, letting it just do everything, right? But what it can do very well is just kind of be a mirror. Uh, you know, so it's got some things which we'll get into, but it's a high level, just to kind of get the ball rolling. I use it sometimes with lyrics, and I'll use it sometimes to examine those lyrics as you would a friend or somebody else, to say, hey, does this music generally kind of fit this whatever? And so I'll upload the MP3. I'll upload and I'll say, give me what you think about this. Suggest something. Just suggest something. And sometimes it'll hand me things like, hey, this fits within these frequencies, and you've got a lot of stuff on, in 400 we always talk about. You need to tweak these if you want to make this sound like this. You might want to add things like glitch on the lyrics that you're also working on. And what I find is that ultimately I still want to retain, that final decision of what goes into the track, but and that final editing power. But it doesn't suck for getting new ideas while you've already got a concept you're working on.
All right, this is great. My first question is, does it understand the lyrics in the song, or do you need to upload a lyric sheet as well?
I've always offered it both because because I've since using it, I've only used it really as a help me get to the final product. So I've not used it to reverse engineer a completed product yet.
Okay, this is interesting. Razi, what are your thoughts?
I like to be overly specific, maybe abortively pedantic, as they say, in which things we're talking about when we say AI. And in this case, it is strictly the ChatGPT product, an LLM that runs on my computer. I type text, I put pictures, I upload audio to it, and it says things back that are scraped and coalesced and regurgitated from things that other people have said out in the world. And that's the way I like to think of it. It replaced web searches for certain things for me, and I use it in the same way that I would have used web searches for finding what's out there conceptually about things. Whether those are facts returned, who knows? Let's have that conversation. So, with that dumb preface, a couple of weeks ago, I put in a little discussion about why ogres, we were talking about this on the show actually, why ogres slant rhyme, assonance, consonants, different dissonant things, his delivery, his pacing, his phrasing work differently than, say, my lyrics, for example. And it was very capable of pulling in the lyrics from out on the internet, analyzing them, saying somewhat scholarly and accurate things about them, and doing things that felt insightful to me and relevant to me and to my question. And that is fun. It's uncanny that it picks and chooses these bits of information and thoughts that are out there and puts them on my screen, and it's quick and it's targeted and it has something to do with the exact way that I asked the question. And again, fun. That to me translates into a smooth time wrestling with a thorny subject. And anyway, the upshot was it wanted to give me a lot of exercises about how to make You Shriek lyrics more like Skinny Puppy lyrics, and it would take out the indefinite articles and use less specific terminology. But that was one recent little exercise that I did. And I don't know that it was anything other than an exercise, but it was interesting. And it reminded me of certain poetry terms and certain concepts of prosody that I'm always chasing down and when you can ignore them. And maybe I grew a little, but it was a worthwhile time and it was fun and I think informative. And fundamentally, I wasn't relying on correct information or opinions from the thing, but as Brett said, a reflection, like things to exercise and do in my own mind once it stops, putting up lines. I have plenty of more examples of different things, but that's one that sort of falls right into that.
Give me more examples, because like it's as you're speaking, I'm aware that there is fear and the feeling of digging my heels in, and that's fear. That's fear of the unknown, and that's okay. And I see that and I recognize it. So I want to hear more examples. I want to hear has it been useful? Have you utilized it?
I'll give
Go.
I'll give two more. This one's a little tangential, but it's also kind of oddly what we do here. I posed the question of switching to Logic Pro as a DAW and what I'd be missing from Ableton Live and what the differences were. And it eventually turned to my lament about missing certain features from a program that was left behind 20 years ago, Studio Vision Pro, and what the things that I enjoyed about that are. And it was suggesting, quote, I know people, this is its words, this is ChatGPT's words, I know people who keep a beige G3 around just to keep it running. And I was thinking, like that probably is something lifted directly from a discussion forum. Maybe I said it at one time in a discussion forum, and it was uncannily resonant. Like, yeah, I'm that guy. I have a beige G3 sitting behind my desk to run occasionally Studio Vision Pro to do these sketches. So that's fun too and surprising. And I think the turn that I took was, okay, I'm in Logic now. Are you better than going to video tutorials and reading the manual? How do I turn on time stretch? Click this button. Thank you. How do I get the drum kits that have multi-mic buses instead of just the pre-mixed drum kits? Oh, load the plus kits. They're in this list. Well, that list doesn't appear. Show me a picture. Here's a picture of what my list looks like. It's the top button on the left. You have a different version than I was thinking of. These kinds of interactive discussions with an agent are quick and focused, and I don't have to sit through a video. I still will because I enjoy the personalities that are doing tutorials on these things, and I'll still read the fucking manual because nerd, but it's a good, quick way to get these answers and stay focused on a thing that I'd otherwise spiral way off in distraction for. Turning on YouTube in the middle of trying to write a song, sticking with it.
Okay.
There is one more, but go on.
Please. No. Floor's yours. Go.
I need 5 chord progressions that are basic pop progressions, but have a deceptive cadence, different cadences for each. Do it in Nashville notation. So 1, 4, 5, 6, 4 kind of thing. And it would return those. So yeah, I'll use them. I don't know if I'm going to write anything with them, but he gave me the things like that. And in the last one that I'll say is, I think I mentioned this last week when I was working on classical guitar mix, not my own stuff, picture of the notation. Is this 16th note triplets or is this dotted eighths? What is this notation? And it broke it down for me visually, from visually seeing the traditional notation, and gave me a good explanation about what it might sound like in different interpretations. And I used that to do an edit. So
Very interesting. Thank you very much. Brett.
So one of the most interesting experiments I've done, it was when I got stuck on a song. Is I actually uploaded the lyrics and the music to it, and then I asked it to interview me and let it come up with questions. I don't remember what they all were, but I do remember that being an example of a trick that I found to be an absolute dam buster for getting things moving again.
Yeah. All right. This is really interesting. Hey, ChatGPT, why does my song suck? Because that's the question I'm always asking myself. Alex, it's good to see you. Ivan, talk to me.
Gotta find my mouse. Um, Using ChatGPT does just answer simple, basic questions, about, like style or, things like that. It's good at finding, kind of getting close to the right answers. Uh, you know, I like to ask it, kind of that easy stuff that I don't want to have to spend a lot of time thinking about, like, you know, what are the notes in, D flat, uh, Bayati mode? you know, ChatGPT is going to have an answer for that, no problem, easy peasy. Um, Having it describe like a drum pattern can get a little more finicky, just because like it's actually audio involved. Um, Having it throw out suggestions for lyrics, um, I would I would most certainly not just use lyrics from ChatGPT, because I've noticed that they suck. Right in the style of fill in the blank, blah blah blah, fill in the blank, blah blah blah, fill in the blank, blah blah blah, fill in the blank. Where they'll actually just mention what they're trying to copy. It's like, could you do slightly better than that? And ChatGPT is like, I don't know, maybe. Um, but having it like come up with some lyrics and then looking at those, considering what it's doing, and going and writing, a more polished version of that is, kind of a shortcut to getting to less sucky lyrics. We'll have to admit that. So this is kind of reminding me of the, like the mid late 90s, when painters and still artists and drawers and stuff like that were just like, oh, you did that in Photoshop? Yeah, that's not art. Because they were quick and easy to just like, oh, that's not art. Like you did that with a machine. That's not art. It nothing to do with it. It shouldn't even be here, because that can't possibly be art because you have an undo button. Um, you know, the world has changed its perspective on that, though. And I think that using ChatGPT as a tool will help change people's perspective on that. Using ChatGPT as the end all and be all, that's where people are, largely going wrong. One need only look at YouTube videos to find that out.
Thank you. Um, Alex, I see your hand. How about you jump in first, and then I'm gonna shoot my mouth off. And
First
obviously,
of
I
all,
want you to shoot your mouth off. And
can you
thank
hear
you for
me?
shooting your mouth off, Ivan. I'm gonna shut up now. Alex, go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't used it much, but the most interesting thing is that I was giving it possible made-up albums by other artists, and it was like really funny in some of the ideas. I think I still wouldn't use them, but it's stuff where I thought, oh well, I haven't thought of it. It could be quite interesting, actually. Like I was asking what the next Skinny Puppy album will be like if it existed, and it had a track according to, I think it was ChatGPT or something, that was about first motor vehicle accident in history, and the person dying. And I thought, wow, that would be even more interesting if you wouldn't tell nobody what it's actually about. But yeah,
You
I
know,
think that's the most fun thing. But I think I'm too vain to let it write lyrics for me.
okay, totally cool. It would be a fun because we talk about concept here a lot and how important concept is. Well, I think so. Others think so too. Some people don't. That's fine. And it would be really interesting for you to say, did we lose? No, we didn't. It would be really interesting to say, okay, pick your favorite band, Alex or anyone. Say, tell me about what their next album is. or if I did a project with favorite band X, what would it be called? What would the artwork look like? All that sort of stuff. And it's a great starting block. I find GPT is really good for asking it questions that aren't too creative. So from a marketing perspective, it's fantastic because it's going to give you stuff that's tried and true. I'm really interested in using it for lyrics. Like, here's a bunch of lyrics. They're not quite working, but I need to make them work. As far as there's too many syllables in this line and I need to squeeze them into 2 bars. How do I do that? Everything it does is very logical, and that's great because, like, when I listen to other lyricists where they'll do something really cool, like they'll incorporate, if the line's too long and the previous line is too short, they'll just make it into one stream of consciousness. And I don't think from my if you said, hey, if Eddie Vedder did this, how would Eddie Vedder do this? Maybe ChatGPT would then be able to, so as far as actually coming up with cool, inventive things, it's not very good. But as far as like saying I need to squeeze something into be something, and like you said, Rezi, like, what are the fucking standard pop song chords? That's a great use of it because it's going, well, 1, 4, 5, 6, boom. I've got some. This is gonna be a rant. I'm sorry. So I also have a thing that songwriting exercises my very scattered brain, and it exercises it on a level of it is a dopamine deficient thing. There's no dopamine involved because I'm fucking angry and I am trying to solve the unsolvable problem. And that's what songwriting is. It's what art is. And that's what's so critically important. Don't get me wrong, there's a time to ask your friend, why does my song suck? I can't figure this out. And most likely you're probably going to roll their eyeballs at their fucking examples too. But you've had an input from a different brain, and you've had you've seen things at a slightly obscure angle. Maybe you will take their advice under fucking note. But I guess my thing is that I'm really adamant about there is a magic that is happening inside my brain that fucking hurts, that is solving this problem, that I don't want to let go of that magic because in the way that I solve problems in my everyday life, it always goes back to the exercise that I get from creating music. I can't even say that word.
Enjambment.
Enjambment. Okay, great. Thank you very much. So that's great. Next, it's very interesting how AIs are replacing influences. That you are going to an AI, and I hear this from a lot of different people, is that they will, like, I used to go to influencers and ask and see what they were saying about gear reviews back in the day when I used to buy gear. And recently I've gone to AIs more and to say, okay, well, I've got it down to these 2 machines. What are your thoughts? And what they say is really interesting. And that's very interesting, is that, so there's the economics of the internet that is like quicksand. How many internet bubbles have you seen burst? How many? Now they're just bursting all the time. So look, whatever. That the influencer market, which only recently was said to be an industry within the internet that the internet has created that will be there for a long time, is now under threat as well. Because does that mean that ChatGPT or other AIs are going to start becoming sponsored with sponsored product? And when they do, how is that going to reflect the landscape? And this is all fear and conjecture. And I will pick up on something Ivan said about Photoshop, and that's absolutely true. And I am constantly reminding myself that even in the 90s, when I was writing music at university with fucking an Atari and an MT32 and an Emax and a CZ3000, everyone was going, oh, it's not real music. Oh, so it's going to sound so much better with the drummer and guitar. And I remember with Angelspit, people would always come up to us saying, you need a drummer. Always. And that stopped maybe 2010. People stopped saying, you need a drummer. It's just fascinating how shit's moving. Was there anything else I wanted to shoot my mouth off? So a question I want to throw out there as well, and this is an interesting one because it's a moral debate. Can you say, does it create audio? And the next question is, can you say to it, give me John Bonham playing like a caveman at 131 BPM? I'm just throwing that out there. Brett, tell me about your thoughts about whatever.
I don't know the answer to whether or not you can make ChatGPT do that. Give me John Bonham, that is. I don't believe you can, but yes, you can get it to generate audio. Now, the way I did that, which was the reason I raised my hand on that, is one of the ways that I did it is I was like, write me a program that produces robotically generated voices based on the text I provide. And it came out of an experiment. And so it wrote me an application in Python. I ran it, and it synthesized a voice for me. Now, I can do that other ways. I'm not going to say that replaced any other tools that I would use in that regard, but it's definitely at least part of the way as an answer to your question. And it does speak to another way in which it's been useful, at least creatively. And part of that came from a kind of a conversation. Yes, it's really better as kind of a search tool. Yes, you have to be aware of the fact that it hallucinates. Yes, you have to be aware of all these things, and you have to be aware of that when you talk to a human. So take it with a grain of salt. But as an assistant to what you're doing to help generate ideas, help make certain ideas you have become material, and also not violate copyrights in the process, which was the part of the goal behind that. It absolutely can. It may take a different path than you expect to do so.
Thank you very much. Razi, talk to me.
It generally doesn't render audio from musical suggestions, but it will do MIDI and tab and stuff like that. John Bonham beat that it suggested, which, it's kind of funny. It understands it. It knows what we're talking about. It found the fundamental things that would make it into one, but it will work with some command line tools. It suggested this last time I got into the composition requests. I'll have a better answer about that within a couple of weeks, though. I'm sort of working toward maybe integrating some of these things with the agentic approach rather than just the chatbot approach. But correct, Brett is saying it probably doesn't do audio. It doesn't like to generate musical audio. I think I have seen the right tool chain to do it, but right now it doesn't quite know about that. So,
okay, thank you. I just pasted what it said into the thing, into the chat there, so everybody got to see that. So could it actually generate an actual MIDI file?
yes.
And that MIDI file would be, it would have the groove synchronization of John Bonham. We're thinking about it. That at 130 BPM, and this is interesting because what he played at 130 BPM was pretty fucking different to everything else. Okay, that's fascinating. Thank you for whatever are you generating this right now?
Oh yeah. It
The
is.
best. Thank you. Ivan, what are your thoughts on this?
I think we're heading into a world where, one of the useful things that ChatGPT could do for people that has not really gotten around yet is you could, do a chat session with ChatGPT and build a brand new like VST for an effect, or generate a whole instrument, using just like crazy ChatGPT-ness to handle like the coding. Like I'm pretty sure it could handle that. I would suggest that, if you're interested in like building an effects chain for your vocals, having a chat with ChatGPT about what you're trying to achieve and how you can get there, it would probably be okay for that.
For sure. Thank you. Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, because I was also my mate Keith, who does videos, and Bonnie. I was talking to them yesterday, and they were talking about using AIs and how they're great if you want something that's tried and true. But as far as really cool conceptual things, it's still not there. And I'm getting more stuff here. Thank you. It appears the tool required to create MIDI files is unavailable. Cool. However, I can give you the thank you very much, ChatGPT. Yeah. Sorry.
Mine generated a MIDI file and it opened in Logic, but I wouldn't consider it a success.
Okay. Tell me, does the MIDI file, is it quantized to the 16th or does it have his groove?
I cannot determine that at this point without actually listening to it.
All right. Well, I mean, even if you looked at the notes and said they're off and shit, because that's what I'm really interested in. Is like,
I opened it in an app that I'm not familiar with, that being the one that I was talking to it about last night. So,
okay.
I'll do a couple more of them though and get a better result and stuff.
Feel free to share them.
Whole thing. Okay.
Because that's really fascinating to me. That like the whole idea that when you pull someone else in, A, they can play their instruments better than I can because I'm crap, and B, they've got a different groove. And that's for me groove, and I'm talking about the actual groove between the 16ths is really fucking important. And I like it's a deal breaker. And it's a similar thing as well with vocals. Like, I have trouble working with other vocalists because I'll come up with a vocal line that after so much fucking around, I've realized that it's based on my natural groove and it's not their natural groove. And the lines and the music and everything else is going shikung, 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 shikung. It's like all my groove. And it's not fair for me to say to someone, oh, you have to groove in my groove. I don't know why I fucking bothered saying that. Hey, does anybody else have something else amazing that they want to talk about?
I'm wondering if one of the things that you could do is have ChatGPT output, the MIDI is essentially a text file, then import that over into, your DAW. And then like, I know with Ableton, because I know Ableton, you could use a groove pool in Ableton and get at the groove you're looking for mostly.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you can also like pull in a sample of Mitch Mitchell or fucking John Bonham or someone like that and go groove analyze store groove. And
yes.
I've got a few of them, but I don't know. It's good. I mean, like, there's theft, and there's theft. Or at what point are we paying homage to something, and what point are we fucking being inspired by learning or stealing? I don't know, but this is fucking what music does. And isn't it so funny that when it's a human who does this, it's like, oh, you can't, but I'm really grateful that you've been inspired. But when it's a robot, it's like, it's fucking Judgment Day. Alex, do you want to jump in and bring some sense to this ridiculous conversation?
I would change the topic. So if we want to remain on this topic.
Sure. I mean, does everybody else want to move on? Are we happy with this where we are? We're basically bitching about it. Are you drinking beer or eating pizza right now, Alex? God, dude. Damn. Hi, Rob. Okay, Alex, hit me with your best shot.
So if you have new gear or a new software, how do you learn it? Do you just use it and open the manual if you have to? Or do you just have like study time separate from music making time?
Wow. No, that's a really good. Thank you very much. I saw the hand of the one who we should call the resonator. Actually, Brett, can I throw it to Rezi first? Because I saw his rambunctious hand go up.
No, I was going to answer real quick, just yes. Whatever you just said, all of those, yes. Sometimes. Varies. I do like to just jump into it, but there's no music software that diverges so far from the basic concepts of everything that I've been using for 40, whatever, 10 years since I was a teenager, that it's alien and strange. The hardest one might have been the way that Ableton routes audio coming from Studio Vision Pro. And that was, literally decades ago. So local conventions about which key combinations and which tools have which icon, that stuff comes pretty quickly. And I do like to do it immersive style, but I definitely switch to a video tutorial of somebody who's really good at communicating about it and really, really adept at the software.
Thank you. And echoing the chat, sampling is not a crime. I'm actually going to throw this to Brett first, if that's okay, Ivan, because Brett had his hand up.
So I'm right there with Rezi. Yes is generally the answer. Dude, I take it. I've got to play with. I've got to play with it to start with. I can't just start by reading the manual. Generally speaking, I've seen a video or something that's made me interested in it, or heard a conversation that has something I'm interested in to kind of as a seed. But it's almost always hack or play first and learn what the details or what the devil in the details later. That's just me though.
Brilliant. Thank you. Ivan? Synthesizers, reverb.
I also agree with Razi on this. The answer is yes. But once in a while, it's not yes. Like I like just jumping in and trying shit out and figuring out which way it goes and which way it doesn't go. But like the Hydrosynth Deluxe, you're not even going to be able to make a patch if you haven't like done study time with the manual. Because that requires it. But by and large, plug it in, start playing it. You can't beat that. And I like to like plug it in, start playing it, and then just go through all of the like the patches that it comes with, just so I know what and where is going. What's going on with those. It'll give me ideas for making my first ones. Again, though, I think the thing with the Hydrosynth is it comes with like 1,000 patches to begin with. So, you're going to get old going through all of them.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. Alex, I'll throw it to you and then I want to actually answer the question if I may. So talk to me, Alex.
Then answer the question first because I was.
All right. I read the manuals. I have usual printout manuals and they are beside my bed. That's how much of a nerd I am. And I will be reading a manual at night. I'm currently knee deep. And the really funny thing about a manual is you get this kind of gear horn to use the synthesizer more. When you find out what it can do, is like I've got the Emulator 4 manual and I'm always going, fuck, I didn't know I could do that. I don't have an Emacs manual anymore. I've got the original Emacs manual somewhere. I think that's in Australia. And I used to pen through that going. And even on my iPad, I've got manuals for all the synths I own, permanently as a web page PDF. The Mode 1 I am constantly going back to. The Emaxes, after 30 years, I am still reading the manual. Because I still have not got everything out of those bits of gear. And even when you get a manual for like a module piece of gear, it's like, oh, what do you need a module for? You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised that, well, in this one, when the knob is at 70%, you start overdriving. So if it's something XY fucking Z, the more you drive it, the less you're going to hear the sound of the filter. So if you have a lighter input into it, the filter is going to be more gentle. But if you have a harder input, the filter is going to be more crunchy, and then you're just not going to hear it anymore. And shit like that. And when they talk about the cutoff points and all this stuff, it's really fucking fascinating. Yeah, so I do. And if I buy a piece of gear online, I will have read the manual thoroughly before I've purchased it, because there's certain things I need, and if it doesn't do that, I can't use it. And then when it's coming, I'm reading the manual. Back in the days when I used to buy gear. Alex, talk to me.
Yeah, I usually also at least skim the MIDI implementation chart and have like a go through the most interesting parts of the manual. What inspired this question is that I'm currently, well, I want to make music, but I feel I'm too bad at Ableton, so I'll try to study it more with tutorials and reading a manual. But I always get sidetracked, and yeah, I feel bad because I'm not actually making music. And so I feel like I need to divide my time and be more, how's it called? Thorough with just learning to think instead of playing around.
Isn't that interesting? And yeah, this is my issue with online learning, is that before you know it, you're reading about fucking aliens. At least I am. And black hole physics and all sorts of shit. I think that I wish I had an answer to this. This is going into the whole dopamine internet addiction thing for me. Yeah, when I make music, I have to have the internet off. Or I might watch a tutorial and then I will be taking notes, as I do that a lot. If someone's going to talk about a synthesizer, for example, that I own, and it's like I want to draw more out, or I want to learn about this thing about music theory, or I want to learn about this thing, I literally take notes, either write them down or actually, in fact, I think it's better if you actually pen on paper, write them down, and they're the notes you're going to work with. But I'm feeling your woe on that. And yeah, bro, tell me about your woe on this.
No, I can absolutely relate. Mine kind of comes to a point where it's like, or for me, I should say, it's more that I have a need to continue to make progress. You know, I don't like being stagnant, and there's a certain amount of, you know, if I'm not making music, that it can become like that. With that said, part of, I mean, because you can't always just be making music, but you can continue to practice your craft. So there are things like, you know, I keep guitars and dulcimers over there at my work, you know, area. So like during the day when I can't really, you know, get in the studio and do something and write a song, I can at least practice chords. I can at least do something musical, you know, for when I have slow periods. And often, you know, I'll sit there and I'll watch things like Vulture Culture, or other synthesizer, you know, related, you know, videos, samplers, VSTs a lot. I was having a conversation a little bit with Carl about one of his new songs where he's using a chaos pad on it, and I really like that effect. And from that spawned into, hey, let me go down a rabbit hole and see if I can put a chaos pad inside of FL Studio. And I might very well be able to. So I don't consider any of those things, you know, I mean, all that is progress towards ultimately what I want to do. I'm going to have to do that work anyway. So I don't beat myself up too bad with, I can't just make music and I have to do the musician thing of practicing, learning, reading the manual, all that other stuff. It's all kind of goes hand in hand, and it's just kind of what you need at the time.
Yeah. And it's also really fascinating how different synthesizers go. Is it a layer? Is it a voice? Is it an oscillator? How they come together. Because I was reading about Rob's DSS1, and same with mixing desks. God, I fucking hate digital mixing desk. It's like every single one of them, they're not the same. And it's like, I want to do this really simple fucking thing, but I don't know how to fucking do this simple fucking thing. But I've got to do it right the fuck now, and I don't have time to read the fucking manual. It's just really interesting. Razi, what are your thoughts on live?
After 5 rounds back and forth with the chatbot about Bonham's specific groove, yes, it created a perfectly good general MIDI file with the instruments on the correct notes in the duration and bar that I said it should be, and with slightly late snares and loose hats, kicks, push, pull, ghost notes before backbeats, all the things that I wouldn't use it necessarily, but yeah, with some coaching and explanation of what I wanted and iteration on, hey, all your notes are stacked up on beat 1. Could you not do that kind of comments?
Can you send me that?
Yeah. Here's the Bonham MIDI.
That's fascinating.
And I'll just do a screenshot of it in Logic with the notes being late so you can sort of see what's going on.
That's fucking fascinating.
Screenshot. I wish I could put pictures in the chat too, but for now it's in the Zoom chat. Maybe I'll think
That's
of a good
insane. Holly, you know what? If I don't actually normally. I'm going to share your screen. Let's share the screen. How do I do that? I thought it's on. Isn't it on?
Yeah, but I've got my audio going anyway, so if we don't need the...
Okay. Oh, look, whatever. It would be...
It's drums.
It's drums. That's interesting. Play that again.
Sure. One sec. Audio on.
And loop it.
Yes, looping it on. Moving the region to that actual clip, and there you go.
That's fascinating. Isn't that fascinating?
Certainly a starting point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here's another really interesting thing is because it's got the looseness.
Oh yeah.
It's really interesting. That's so interesting because as soon as I heard that, I go, "Wow." I would want.
Sorry, I hadn't done it at 1:30. I'd already started a 110 ppm whole thing with it, so we're there.
It's really interesting how my immediate thought was I would speed that up. And no, I would quantize that, and then I thought no, because the whole point of the fucking issue is not to quantize that. And if everything else is quantized and you see that in there, it's going to sound fucking great. Maybe I should use the good old Kurzweil Castle drums on this one.
Break out a John Paul Jones filthy ass filtered distorted bass line.
Good fun. Okay. Right. Alex, did we answer your question? All right. Isn't it crazy how, man, internet addiction. I'm fucking telling you. Didn't Satan recently have a lot to say on that on South Park? Didn't Satan say something about, you know?
I've wanted to, but I haven't caught up yet.
Yeah. I think Satan recently was talking about dopamine addiction, and the word is in under 2 minutes. Satan absolutely explained it and said why the entire generation that are coming through hooked on the internet are fucked. But this is a really good moment to say, hey, if you are struggling with internet addiction, and I've got an eye on that fire at Canyon, but it's okay. There's internet addiction. Boom. Hey, does anybody else want to jump in at this point, or can I fucking ask about you having a potty mouth? I see the hand of the resonator.
Real quick, just to contrast, if you truly were looking for a way to rapidly generate beats that are dripping with groove and have feel and that you can still manipulate and edit and work with, this is part of why I was even talking about Logic Pro in the first place versus Ableton. I love Ableton. I've been there for decades. It's great. But when you turn it on, it doesn't have a picture of a drummer with a mustache and bell bottoms, which Logic, okay, they got rid of that. But I still remember there was a picture of a drummer with the big, huge Lemmy mustache and bell bottoms. It's like, I want that kind of drums. And it does it. And then you can put more room and put more compression and it sounds massive. And you're just like, okay, that was easy. Now I can work on that for 2 years and make it sound like something different. That technology does exist. And it's pretty well thought out. And also it renders it as looking like waveforms rather than looking like MIDI notes, interestingly, even though it's truly MIDI and generative. So
I should check in on Cubase on that one. Because Cubase has to fucking have something like that. I just haven't looked because I'm a lazy bastard. And I need to read the manual. Thank you, Alex. You're absolutely right. Thank you. So do I have the committee's approval to talk about swearing? Okay, yeah. So
You fucking have.
excellent. Well said, Alex. Thank you. So YouTube is YouTube is bringing in an 18 plus thing, apparently. Streaming media has explicit lyric warnings, and I looked at my new album and it's all explicit except one track, which is instrumental. It's I don't know, man. I don't know. Just sometimes there's a time to say you're a cunt in your lyrics. There comes a time, or fuck this shit, or this is fucked. I don't know. This is a very bad situation. I don't know. Is there another way to say it? I honestly don't care anymore. But I don't even know what the question was. I think what I want to know is what is considered to get an explicit rating, specifically words, because I wanted to use prick. Like I've got a line in a new song that says, "You're a fucking prick, you dumb cunt." And I thought maybe they won't like prick. I don't know. Brett, I just saw you slap your fucking forehead just then. Rezi, talk to me.
just for clarification, I read that wrong back a couple of days ago when I saw they're using neural models and intelligence to do 18 plus something, and I thought it was going to be to prohibit people from joining channels. But what you're saying is you actually got flagged automatically through the algorithm looking at your lyrics and saying these are potty mouth, and it.
Oh yeah. Well, when I upload them, like I have to say potty lyrics, and it's really cool now that when you, with my agitator, one of the questions they will ask you is, "What country are you from?" And if you say Australia, it automatically flags every single song as being explicit. That was a joke, by the way, but they are. I just feel sorry for so many Americans. You don't know the joy of saying cunt in your lyrics. Oh, you're such a cunt. It's just a great word. But I want to know, like, what are the what are the words that are lines and stuff? And like I don't know. Like I know at the center, for example, we will be playing playlists. They will never play Angelspit at the center, and that's fine. At the LGBT center, they play some great music there. I'm all about that place, but it's always work friendly. And sometimes I do wonder, do I need to be doing Spotify versions that are clean? Because and Bandcamp will be fucking Yeah, actually, Eliza Tentacle is saying how, we were brought up with cunts, the word cunt in our lullabies. Like, my favorite lullaby is "You're such a sweet little cunt," and "Sleep well, my dear cunt." Um, you little cunt, you were not planned. You're a mistake, but I love you, cunt. Beautiful Australian lullabies that you'll never hear. So I don't even remember what the what I was saying. Alex, do you want to speak wisdom to my perpetuance?
Well, the way I understood it is that they are using AI and from your watch history determine how old you are. So if you just watch synthesizer videos about 90s rec gear, then you're 18 plus. But if you just watch Mr. Beast, you're probably not. I don't know. Something like that.
Okay. That's interesting. Razi, do you want to
Yeah, that is what I'd heard then. That confirms a vague recollection. I don't know how they're going to use that, but I mean, I guess predicting stuff that people aren't excited to admit is good for them somehow, for advertisers. I don't know, whatever. People saying that they're over 18 so that they can get whatever content they want versus the actual advertisers targeting people that are that age. It's strange. I was going to say more on your topic, Carl. I got the word "fuck all" is in one of the titles on my last album, and the lyric "fuck" is in a previous one from years ago, and I've never seen any results of having done that. Like it's.
Did you mark them as explicit?
No, I never had an opportunity to even do that anywhere. When
you upload it to DistroKid, AWOL, and a few others, there's a box that said, "Is this explicit?"
Maybe maybe I just didn't. Maybe I did and didn't think of it. I don't know. It's strange. I have to look through and see if there are any ways to sense some ripple effects of having done that, but I don't know. That's in passing, like, maybe as a lyric, I, don't think maybe it triggers the same kinds of response that putting it as a focal point that gets repeated or anthemically delivered or in a political context, it might have a very different effect. I don't know.
I remember a black metal band who were talking about having sex with a corpse once used the lyrics, "My genitals are swelling in macabre anticipation." And they didn't get flagged.
Clinical. It's some medical terms.
Or was it, "My loins are swelling in macabre anticipation"? That's like a great lyric. That is a great lyric.
It's also one of the last things I want to hear metal dudes singing about.
It
but
probably will be.
You do you. I didn't mean that I want that to be the last thing I hear from a metal dude.
And have their beard rubbing against your neck. Thank you, but it's all right because you're dead. Alex, that got dark. Why are you laughing? Alex, this is not funny at all. This is not okay. Sorry, Alex.
I'm a bit worried because there's like this big political push, not only in the United States, but also especially in the United Kingdom and also in the EU to require age verification. And I'm a bit worried because, of course, I'm against children having unrestricted access to everything on the net, but I also want to browse anonymously. And yeah,
that's a really interesting point as well, is that, you do want to browse anonymously because if you're looking at fucking synthesizers, and I do all my synthesizers in anonymous browsing because I don't want, I don't want my ad thing filled up with that. I'm totally okay with my ad thing being filled up with porn. So I don't, does that make me weird? I don't know. We've reached that point and we're only halfway through. So it didn't, no one answered my question. Is prick considered a swear word? You're a prick. If you had, and that's pretty harsh. You're a prick. That's quite harsh. How many is asshole? So if you said, oh, you're an asshole, and that's ASS hole and ARSE hole, you know, you are donkey's balls. Like that's, none of those words are expletive. Like I seriously want to know, like, where's the line? Because, you know, I don't know. Brett, join in for the love of God.
I don't know that I'm going to be able to keep up in the same vein, but I think
Did you just say vain?
Exactly. So I don't think if you use the word prick a single time in a song that would be explicit. I think if you made it every other word, it would be. And I'm going to say the context of the song would probably matter. And part of what killed me when you said that is like, you're a fucking prick. Do they have an issue with the word prick? And I'm like, no, it was probably the rest of the sentence. So I'm just going to go with, Carl, I'm sure you can weaponize this and turn it into a bad word. And otherwise, I think if anyone else did it, they would probably be okay.
I guess that is my talent, is that I can take any word at all and turn it into something quite disgusting. So the phrase "you are a prick," thanks ChatGPT, is generally considered mildly offensive or insulting,
Oh,
depending on the contents or the audience. Art is in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? Whether it's classified as expletive depends on how strict the platforms. Oh, this is fantastic. This is great. It's saying, yeah, it is, but maybe not. So in music, might label so Apple, Spotify, etc. might label it explicit, because that's the thing is, I rather say yes, it's expletive than say no, it's not, and then for them to come back and say it is expletive. Oh, by the way, here's your first flag. Radio AM would often avoid it unless it's Australia, because they'll say everything they want in the middle of the day. YouTube could trigger content moderation or require an explicit tag if the lyrics is part of a satirical or artistic narrative. Wait, that's what we do, isn't it? Some platforms may be lenient. If the word prick is used metaphorically or humorously, it might not be flagged. Oh my God, want to keep crafting. I can help rephrase it with a clever edge to a poetic punch. No thanks, I'm fine. It's great. It's really the passive aggressiveness of AI. I just love it. Alex, talk to me about your life.
for me, English is of course a second language, but it feels like that would be a word used in those kids bops versions of songs that are less offensive than the original.
Yes, I actually do remember the Australian Wiggles. No, I'm not going to make that joke. It's a good joke. Had nothing to do with children. It was about the Wiggles. The Wiggles were originally the Cockroaches, who were this failed 80s band, and then something really terrible happened, like genuinely, tragically, unspeakably terrible happened to them, and they formed the Wiggles. And now the Wiggles, I think, are one of the biggest selling bands in Australia. But good on them, because they got their hearts in the right place. Ivan, talk to me.
Yeah, there's too much interpretation available to the content providers on what is offensive or inoffensive, and like there's too much wiggle room. Gotta say I don't like, because like it makes everything, way too fuzzy. Either is or it isn't should be the one of the rules, and like they're not doing a very good job of veering towards, yeah, maybe that's okay. This is all the problems I had with English class, which was, like not like math class. 2 plus 2 is always equal to 4. English class, not like that. Part of your grade was based on how you made the teacher feel, and how well you do with being censored by YouTube is how well you made the censor guy feel. That that's not it's not by any stretch of the imagination cool, and like it leaves too many opportunities for it to become a problem. So I have a problem with it itself, and like far too often like US culture is always getting changed by the lens of Puritanism, which like I don't know if that's done us any particularly big favors in quite a while. And maybe there comes a time where it's just time for that to fucking go away.
Yes. This
It's
is
like, let's just imagine what the world would be like right now if Tipper Gore had her way.
I don't even know who that is.
Al
Well, let's imagine
Jack-White,
what the world would be right now if Mr. Rogers had his way.
I think he would have been far more lenient. As long as you weren't being a jerk to people, he was
Yeah.
probably going to be fine. Tipper was fine with being a jerk to people so long as he didn't use naughty words.
Okay. He was American and not Australian. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. This is interesting because Rob is Saws and Synthesizers is doing our fine nation proud over in the YouTube chats. And it's really interesting how there are a lot of different words that you can use as an Australian to, talk about things. But it's really, I was just looking at these words and it's like, those words could be easily misinterpreted as a racial slur. Isn't it fascinating what I just said? Those words could be easily misinterpreted. I just made an assumption about other people's triggers. And this is constantly a problem as an artist, is you are not even, the freight train of your imagination is going to go through some pretty harrowing country. When Lynch said you've got to go fishing past the envelope in your uncomfortable zone to get a fish and then bring it back to shore. Well, the thing about that fish is it might be surrounded by a lot of ideas and concepts that people aren't comfortable with, but you're not bringing those ideas back to the warm cockles of people's homes. You're bringing the fish back. You've got to go through, no matter how dark, how fucked up, how inappropriate the freight train of your mind is, because you're not telling people about this journey. You're on a destination creatively to get to a place. And so many times I am editing myself because I'm not allowing myself to go through this ugliness or incredibly funniness, because I'm concerned I'm going to trigger other people. And this is not a comment about other people. It's a comment about me. It's constantly that I need to offend myself because something happens in my mind, in my ability to solve problems, that is opened up when I offend myself. And I'm not just saying rude words. It's crazy concepts. It is some higher thought mechanism is engaged that problem solves creatively. That when I'm going, ooh, what are they thinking? Those doors are closing. Razi.
I think it's important to note, Adam just explained who Tipper Gore is, and I was going to do that too, but parents, music resource, censorship, D. Snyder, kind of whole thing with the swears and the labeling and that stuff. He says it in the Twitch chat. Thanks, Adam. Two things came to mind. I don't remember exactly what the point of this was, but I am curious first what you were really worried about having happen in a practical sense, like literally this song, this result kind of thing. And when we were still making jokes, I was really wondering, do you actually have a song where prick is the strongest word that you're actually concerned with?
Well, I am working. So a new song, new Angelspit track is, I do use prick,
Not
and it's
preceded by fucking prick or
no or cunt. But it's just prick, and it's interesting because believe it or not, it felt like a really harsh word because prick's the word to me. To me, if you call someone a prick, it means I'm now crossing the line and I'm getting ready to materialize, to physicalize this fight. It's a fighting word, where cunt or fucker, they're not fighting words. But prick is a fighting word for me. Yeah, it is. In Australian culture, if someone calls you a prick, you better put your guard up.
I heard parents use the word prick talking to kids as a little like fourth grader or something. I remember that was sort of I just wanted to kick them in the prick or something, like it wasn't a big deal.
All right. That's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, thanks, Eliza. Tentacles. Yeah, it's a weird, and it's also if you call someone an asshole in Australia, that's also a fighting word. That's not a throwaway word. That's okay. We mean business now. I don't know. It's just really, it's so curious. I've been here for so long and I still don't understand the rules of engagement. I guess the rule is don't engage, but that's boring. Anyway, yeah, so my question was like, it is, but besides me being a puerile human being and just looking for an excuse to swear, does come down to the concept of, if you get flagged enough, shit can become problematic. And if you go onto your, if you already upload your song and the algorithm goes, okay, cool, it's got a swear word in it, I'm not going to send this to younger audience. If you don't mark it, my concern is always that it's going to say, you know what, I'm going to start holding your tracks back in our algorithmic playlist. And does it really terrify me that algorithms such as ChatGPT that are so fucking, oh my God, conservative and boring are now controlling who gets to hear my music and what their brains are doing? Like, what the fuck? Anyway, yeah, I know Carl is looking for an excuse. I'm just trying to broaden my horizons on swear words, I guess, Diana. Alex, I see your hand.
I don't know how much you gave up on marketing via short form, but I think asking your algorithmic audience whether prick is offensive because you want to use the line fucking prick sounds like an excellent thing to boost your engagement.
Yeah, it's a whole series.
It is.
Try it with a different word, same sentence, different word every time, and see which
Yeah,
one's
yeah. Is this offensive? And then if you're Australian, don't bother voting because you're gonna go, nah, that's fine. But it's such an interesting thing, and the Scottish are pretty colourful about swear words. Yeah, pretty colourful, but not like the fucking rainbow Yorp. That didn't make sense. Okay, Alex, talk to me.
I feel also it's here in Germany that at least for like fecal matter related and maybe reproduction related swear words, we're much more loose, but everything in regards of ethnic slurs and such like that is of course equally frowned upon. Maybe justifiably so.
Whereas puritanical America, the blasphemous swears were the most gasp-worthy in some censorship capacity anyway, for broadcast media, which is to say advertiser buy-in.
I just thought of the greatest opening line for a track. Alex, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I forgot to put down my hand.
I thought I saw someone else's hand.
Mine was up, but then I said something and you were still reading or making a note of your brilliant opening line, which you haven't shared, so we can all steal.
I haven't written it down yet. Okay, what are we going to talk about? We're out of things to talk about.
And we just need to fight countries and see who can swear the best.
There's no competition. I'm going to say that. So, no, Australians are the most swearing population on earth. Last I heard, just beat out the Irish. But yeah, Australians very, very. I actually heard a news reporter the other night say cunt.
I mean, the dude in the White House said bullshit on something 2 days ago, so I mean, it's shifting intensely.
Oh, Australia had a prime minister a few years ago, and he had a potty mouth indeed. He would not name Paul Keating. He was actually in the 90s,
Was he a
and
good
he.
cunt?
Oh yeah, yeah. I heard him say all sorts of things, like, "Oh, they're a bunch of fucking wankers" and stuff like that to the opposition, and it was very good. It was very good. Anyway, Alex, I see your chair, and you're doing the swivel.
I had another question. I don't know if you
Please.
can answer it. It's very nerdy and very synthesizer related. Because I remember being able to make very wet filter sounds like this clicking like that.
Okay.
I don't know how well it picks up.
Removing your example, just so you know, it makes absolutely no sound. out on the
Okay,
screen to do that.
like if you smack your tongue against the
Yeah.
upper part of your skull, like that kind of sound. I remember being able to make that with a synthesizer, but I don't know how to anymore because I tried. It doesn't sound right.
It's like the sound
you
in the
have
beginning
any
of Depeche
pointers?
Mode's My Secret Garden. Beautiful sound. That is my favorite fucking sound on earth. And I spent so many years when I was a kid trying to figure out what they were doing, and that's resonance. I think that was a Moog Prodigy. If it wasn't a Moog Prodigy, it was a CS20. But if you listen to Depeche Mode's My Secret Garden, or also in Any Second Now by Depeche Mode, I need to get that fucking album. Any Second Now. It's that sound. That's resonance. That's a low pass filter. And sometimes there's noise going in there. Sometimes it's just well, usually there is something else going in there, and it'll probably be noise or something. If it self-resonates, it's going to sound more like Kraftwerk, depending on the filter. But I would be using a 24 dB low pass ladder filter, not a diode filter. I think the Wasp can do it. I'm not sure. But it's a really great, fun place to start experimenting. Alex, your hand is still up while you are listening to Depeche Mode's Any Second Now and My Secret Garden from the album. God, that is such a good album. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask whether you know which type of filter, but you just answered it. Yes,
Also, do what we do and just ask ChatGPT. Because I told you the other day, I asked it about, I need to make that Jean-Michel Jarre 1976 phaser sound. And it said, this is what you do. And it was fucking dead on. It was dead on. Bastard. But obviously it just went through and pulled interviews and read it and shit like that. Did you want to ask more questions on that one? Or does somebody else like Rezi want to jump in and talk about this as you're being tail whacked? That's fantastic.
She's showing the love. The other thing, like Carl, you covered it. Self-resonance in a filter swept in a certain way. If you're finding it elusive though, and like you had it before, but this synth won't do it, check the shape of the thanks Jojo, envelopes. The linear versus exponential can make a huge difference in how much time it spends open and closed in those 2 milliseconds that it's doing its job, and makes a lot of difference in the power that the resonant sweep happens. So, and the shape of the sweep.
Also, don't forget a high pass filter with resonance on it. Because you might be looking for a high pass, and if not a high pass, maybe a band pass. You might be looking for a band pass as well, because noise has got noise everywhere, and like a low pass filter, those sounds don't have incredible intense rumbling sound in it. So I'm thinking it's not a low pass filter. It's not a low pass filter with a great big chunk of resonance on it. It might be a high pass filter. Because it's quite a rich sound, or it might be a band filter. But oh my god, I got to get. So that's music for the masses. Is it Some Great Reward? No, it's not. What's the first one? I should be shot for not knowing. It's got like the first album. What is their first album? Speak and Spell.
Speak and Spell.
Thank you. It's just analog fucking joy, that album. And also, so Alex, do you have Speak and Spell, or do you have it digitally or anything like that?
And to be frank, it's not my favorite Depeche Mode album, even though I like Vincent Clarke on other stuff.
It's just chock
I
full of
think-
examples of that type of sound that you're talking about.
Mm.
Like, that's one of Vince's hallmarks with the Pro One and stuff. It's
And also, fucking some music. No, I got to add it before. It's got the dove on it. Fuck, it's the second
Broken
one.
Frame.
Broken Frame. Thank you. Yeah, it's just also a lovely album. Lovely fucking album. And that it's full of that sound. It's so funny, man. That was one of the albums where I just went, I've got Broken Frame on vinyl, Diana. I don't have Speak and Spell though. It's one of those albums where I spent my whole teenage life trying to figure out what these amazing sounds were. Yeah. And this is a nice like segue into the rants about there are other filters besides low pass filters, and there's some beautiful things you can do with them. And if you're using them in series, you know, if you use them in series, you end up with a fucking band pass or a notch filter or something. And here's something amazing. Maybe it's not amazing at all. I learned this week what a fucking high pass filter does. Like a high pass. I did not know. A high pass and low passes do what they do by throwing everything below a certain frequency out of phase. I didn't fucking know that, because I was talking to it. We were miking up a drum kit, and you know, I said in passing, I'm one of those guys. I was the A2 on the show, and he was the A1, and I was going, I'm one of those pain in the asses. I fucking high pass everything, and he goes, don't high pass the hats, and I went, why? And he says, because if there's going to be phasing, it's going to be there. I mean, the overheads, because that is that the overheads are picking up everything, and they're going to start. And so you do a shelf. And I thought that made sense, because I've got this great fucking recording of a snare, and it's phased, and I don't know why. And I went, that's why that fucking snare's, because the hi-hat mics are in there as well, and they've gone out of phase. And it's a stereo recording, so I can't do anything about it. I can't fix the fucking phase. Rezi, what are your thoughts?
There's a lot of vagueness in that. Like, all filters generally from the analog days did it by phase shifts. I mean, there was phase shift inherent in filtering, and filtering inherent in phase shifts. That's what it is. It's part and parcel of the same function to make frequencies disappear or get accentuated, which is fine. But it doesn't necessarily fuck with the phase of the rest of the stuff. Not necessarily. It might, but there's the likelihood of your overheads becoming out of phase with your hi-hat thing. They're already slightly out of phase due to the distance. Yeah. So these are really, they're things to listen for, not necessarily worry about as a rule. And furthermore, in the DSP age, there are zero phase or phase compensated filter topologies that aren't like analog ones, which I don't understand, but I would love to look into it now that we've mentioned it. It's probably got something to do with fast Fourier transforms or something, because everything does.
Phasing is something that I just can't get my head around, and I think it's this eternal losing battle that when you say, okay, well, you've got something that's 300 cycles, isn't it like a foot per millisecond or something? If you've got something that's 300 cycles and it's 1 meter away from, that means by the time, and there's 2 mics on it, that means that this mic's going to be out of phase. And it's like, but that doesn't work if it's a 400 cycle thing or 150 cycle, because they've all got different phase points.
You start thinking about the phase as a continuum, and what we're talking about is anti-phase and phase flip to truly cancel, which is a rare occurrence. And instead, between totally in phase and totally out of phase, there's a whole spectrum of sound effects that we want and can use. And when your guitar cab is mic'd, they're all over the place. And when your overheads are on the kick drum and they're bleeding in there, it's part of the sound. And when the room comes in, like each of those things cumulatively has their own phase relationships to what is your basis you're using? And does truly constructively putting them all in phase make a better sound, or is it just boomier? Does the destructive out of phase pair of mics make a worse sound, or is it scooped in a cool way at a cool bunch of frequencies? And if you move it 3 millimeters, what frequencies, like you were saying, are of wavelengths that are affected by millimeters? So there's a lot. Use your ears with this, rather than worrying about distances and listen for resonances. I think we talked about this a couple of months ago. A pair of mics in the same room near each other when 2 people are talking on them and they're facing each other, even though they're headset mics, you're getting anti-phase. Some frequencies.
Because that was happening in the show, is that when 2 actors would go on the front of the stage and deliver their monologues, it's like, fuck man, they're out of phase. And then they look at each other and you'd hear it just go, fuck. I don't know. Alex, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that I've realized that sometimes I'm glad I don't understand everything, because then there's still a bit of discovery in the process. Like I used to try to understand everything about synthesizers, and now I'm it does something I don't know why it's doing that. Now I'm getting excited.
Yeah, and adapt, manipulate, welcome. It's fucking amazing. It's really fucking amazing. It's crazy. It does make you just want to fuck with that modular. Does anybody else want to throw in, like, grab this or go somewhere else? Or I just feel like chatting today. Does anything on anyone's mind, or anything that want to bring something up, or we were talking earlier about lyrics and about the excessive pain in the ass about lyrics. I was talking to a friend yesterday actually about motivation. It's always a shitty topic, because we were talking about getting motivated to write lyrics. And I think my motivation rant is that, you say, I'm not motivated to do work or to do music or whatever. There's a part of your brain that actually grows. It gets bigger the more times you do things that you don't want to do. And so doing those things that you don't want to do become easier because it's getting bigger and stronger and healthier. Like, it is literally, it's one of the cortex things in your fucking brain. And it's really good because, like, the more dopamine you have and the more dopamine reliant you become, the smaller that gets. And they were saying that in certain people who have certain problems with aspects of their life, it's small. And the only thing I could compare this to is you're at the top of a mountain and there's a great big rock and you want to be a crazy person and roll the rock down the mountain. And once the rock started moving, the momentum of making music will make the rock happen, because writing a song in this metaphor is rolling a rock down a mountain. And you're going, I just want to roll the rock down the mountain. But what you have to do is you have to push the fucking rock. That's what you got to do. You got to push the fucking rock. And sometimes it's easy to push the rock. Sometimes the rock's going to get caught down there a bit. Sometimes it is fucking hard pushing the rock, but you've got to push the fucking rock because it's about that effort. I don't want to do this. I'm not feeling confident about this. I've got to push the goddamn rock. Push the fucking rock. Alex, talk to me.
The things that motivate me the most to write lyrics is exercising, being off the internet for a while, C, unhealthy amounts of caffeine, and D is experiencing really great art by other people.
Excellent.
So if I were to drink a coffee and jog at a museum, I would be sad.
There you go. Mine's sit-ups. If I can struggle through a couple of sit-ups, I will get it done. And I have other things as well, like sit down with an art book and a piece of paper and just write, draw, whatever. Hi, Suffer.exe. Excuse me. Yeah, hey, it's fine. You're late, but it'll be on YouTube. On this URL. Yeah, it's really hard. It's so hard, and it's hard. Anyway, but you got to do it. Got to fucking do it. Come on, guys, give me something to talk about. Let's talk about something. Get motivated.
That's where, it's like, man, just coming in and playing with the toys. Maybe, that's what we were talking about earlier. It's like, you can beat yourself up that you didn't make the song, but if you still did something that, furthered the practice, furthered the creativity, furthered the whatever, that is pushing that rock. You are still being a musician. You are still doing all those things you need to do to get to the end point. It's just more, you got to recognize that as well.
This is great. Alex, I see your hand. Give me a sec. It's great because if you turn on the synth, your favorite writing music synth, and you say, I'm going to do scales, every key, major scales, and then I'm going to play chords 1 4 5 1 4 5 on every semitone. And then you say, I'm going to sit down and design a sound and a set of sounds for this song.
Yep.
That's because, I remember last week or the week before you were talking about, we were all talking about there's other stuff you can be doing besides fucking music. And one of them could be reading a manual.
Yeah.
One of them could be.
Me, for example, I was sitting there, I didn't get very far. It's nothing I recorded, but I designed a vocoder sound for a song. And I'm like, you know what? That's all I got in me tonight. Let's go with that. I did something. Yay.
Awesome. Alex, what are you thinking?
I think, I don't know how well the quality will be, but something I used to do as a teenager is to imagine lyrics to songs sung in a language that I don't understand. So you always come up with stuff because your brain can't stop itself.
That's great. I've mentioned this before, but an exercise we used to do at uni was transcribing a song you like or you don't like, and actually figure out what the chords are, figure out what the melody is, and you'll get 10 minutes into that and you will be off writing your own song. Because you're trying to figure the melody out, but you get it wrong and you come up with your own melody. Every single time I did that. My issue's never, thank you, Andrew. My issue is it's never coming up with songs because they just seem to turn up. It's sitting down and actually doing the hard work. I do it, but it's hard. I actually don't remember the last time I sat in front of a synthesizer and said, I'm going to write a song now. I don't remember. I guess I've trained my brain enough that part of its problem-solving routine is output musical idea. And even when you come up with some stupid puerile lyric, which I did before, and it was very offensive, but the way that it was said, gang, 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 like it's just this thing that now I've got this idea in my head, and that will become something else. Those lyrics may not even get used. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. So yeah. What else? Ivan, are you looking at Reverb right now? You're not? Wow, I'm impressed. Very impressed. Does anybody maybe?
I'm looking at Ableton. Yeah, this week I did go through all of the band's current like set and regain staged everything, and like these songs went from that sounds pretty good to wow, that sounds really good all of a sudden. And I've noticed that when things are properly staged, suddenly like the compressors and the limiters and stuff start working better, or they feel like they're working better, and because they're not getting overloaded. And it was wonderful. I like a lot of it was already really close because like I had gotten like the output loofs to mostly make sense and not go into the red, so that got everything really close. So a lot of it was just like really minor tweaking, to get various parts to never have a red peak in their chain. But like it made a gigantic difference. And then from there, I think I need to go back to my personal stuff and do the same thing, because most of that was I never cared to bother with actually like gain staging any of that. So like I know that that's going to actually be a bit more of a process of for getting through that. But it's a high value activity.
No, that's awesome. I normalizing or close to normalizing, like pre-processing waves, for me it's a really important part of the process, and getting rid of the noise and all that shit.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just how I do it, at least. But we could sit here in the last minutes of this and talk about fucking Depeche Mode.
Why not?
Okay, so for some reason, Some Great Reward. No, not Some Great fucking Reward. Broken Frame. It's such a pretty album. And this was just after Vince left. I think Vince wrote one song, I'm not sure, but it's mainly Martin. And I think they had Alan Wilder in the studio in this one. And they were fucking kids. Like they were in their 20s. Early 20s. I think, one of them was still teenagers. It's a really, if you get a chance, listen to this album, because it's such the simplicity of the album, the simplicity of the synthesizers, because not too much stuff was sequenced because they couldn't. Like stuff is sequenced, but it's there's a lot of stuff being played in there, and there's a lot of really beautiful, dreamy stuff going on, and I think there's a lot you can learn from it. Read a book, take a look, etc. There's a wonderful, really pretty a mode and emotion that's being drawn on it. Carl spelled with a K, by the way, Rob. Does anybody else want to join this? Because I
can't
feel
believe
like
how much they changed. I mean, I realize the personnel, but between 80, I'm just looking at the dates that they were listed, between 81 and 83, with the Alan Wilder samples coming in, out exiting the Vince Clarke analog bleeps. Like, it's the same band, but it's like so remarkably different. I mean, maybe it's not that remarkable.
no, it is, and that's what and the joke is that's Depeche Mode went bondage when they discovered the emulator too. But it's really funny how, and that's something I do love about Depeche Mode and G. Mike Raziel, is how they stayed with technology. I don't know if it's a modern thing to just stay analog. I don't know, but it's I do love the way that their sound, like when you think of fat, bubbly analog stuff, that was only Depeche Mode in that, although they use them a lot now as well. Or maybe what I should say is that a lot of this, some of my favorite Depeche Mode stuff has got almost no, it's all samplers, all digital, all PPG, all Fairlight, all Emax or emulator. Alex, what do you think?
I got a new old analog synth for
What'd you
a
get?
good price. An analog keys, and they're going for. It was before the Audio Pills video, so
Is it an Arturia or what?
it's an Electron,
Oh.
Oh, good.
and it really got me thinking about analog versus digital, because it sounds very pristine, but different than like Dub for Modular does. Is analog. Maybe part of it is the DCOs instead of the VCAs, and also maybe because everything is controlled digitally, it's more behaved in a way. But I was thinking, well, I don't think I want this sound aesthetic on every aspect of a track. Maybe for some, especially for like lead sounds and basses, it's awesome, and for like experimental cross modulation type stuff. But I would be really missing those digital, bright, crunchy sounds if it was just that.
May I ask you, how many voice polyphony is that thing?
It's 4, but I think it works best in 4 times mono.
Okay, because a fun thing you can do, like sequential stuff has slop, where you can throw stuff, but there's a whole bunch of things you can do to actually make slop better. Does it have much of a modulation matrix?
It has 2 LFOs. For each one, you can set 2 destinations and 2 envelopes. For also, you can set 2 modulation sources, and it's also routed to the filter, one of them.
Does it have a randomizing function?
Yeah.
Like for every time you hit the key, it will output a random amount.
I think so, but I haven't used all the waveforms on the LFOs yet, but I assume because it would be trivial to implement.
A fun thing to do, and it's a bit of fucking around, is you assign a random amount. And this might be a sequencer that the sequencer progresses every time you hit a key. And then what you do with the sequencer is you say, okay, well, the first value is going to be 0. The next value is going to be -5, then +10, then -13, then 0, then -20. So that each time you're hitting a key, it's outputting a random amount. And you assign that to the micro-tuning of the oscillator. So every time you hit the oscillator, the oscillator is every so slightly out of tune. You also assign that amount to the filter ever so slightly, I stress, and also the attack of the filter and the amplifier. And you can also say the decay and the release as well, so that each time everything's so slightly different, and it will give you the most amazing analog fucking sound you've ever heard. It's brilliant. Is it all right if I pull in Mr. Rezi here?
Yeah, sure.
Because it's a question further toward your new instrument. Do you use it in standalone-ish mode with the performance stuff that it's sort of built on and the voices, or you
I think I'll use it with the Octatrack together and then record one performance into the DAW, so I don't have to sync it, even though I will try to sync it.
That's funny. The reason I asked was I just happen to have MIDI machine control and MIDI time code on my mind, and Ableton Sync, and getting these things to sort of work conveniently. So being that machine itself is sort of made to be a performance thing, like that's why they put it into the box that it's in, I think, if I understand right. There might be something cool to do with the 4 voices and performance controls right on it that you're missing out on without syncing it. I don't know. Maybe it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, you can also use it, of course, while recording, or maybe MIDI-CC it or stuff like that. But like I would just use it in a way like Carl said about his first setup with SH101 and the drum machine.
Love it. Rosie, what do you use MIDI machine code for?
Historically, basically MMC over an inter-application MIDI connection so that two apps have timeline and transport sync. Well, transport sync in general. So you hit start and stop and timeline selections, and they slave or follow each other, leader and follower, appropriately. And specifically right now, it's because of this little pet topic that I have with getting Ableton Live and Logic Pro to work nicely together. I will be using MIDI timecode and MIDI machine control rather than Ableton Sync, even though I love the idea of Ableton Sync. Haven't had luck with it between these two apps. So I'll be going back to the old traditional machine control for transport and timecode for timecode tight sync. And then loop back audio within the interface to do piping it so that they all come out of one mixer rather than having their own independent mixers.
Love it. Love it. Alex, or does anybody want to add anything to that? Or
being that Rewire isn't supported anymore, it was a great solution, but I don't believe it's got a future. So Rewire is sort of on the way out.
Thank you. Does anybody want to add anything, or do we want to go and watch some stuff on MTV TV?
The Electrons don't have MIDI machine control, but they do have turbo MIDI if you have two of the more expensive boxes. And I think it's like 10 times the temporal resolution of normal MIDI.
Which maybe still isn't saying much, but yeah, that's good.
At least I can now try it.
I should find out what the baud rate is of MIDI over USB, because I'm going to assume it's better.
Still 300.
I think it's faster, but more jittery.
Really?
It depends, of course, but that's the gist from what I've read. I haven't measured anything.
Intense. I'm going to call it. Thanks for joining us. We are going to raid to MTV TV in a moment. This is every Saturday morning here. This is The Art of Rock. It's also on YouTube. So join here or join there. And this is made possible with Angelspit's Patreon. And if you're a paid member, you get free shit. Like digital albums and stuff. And if you're not, then eventually you will get free shit. Our Angelspit's new album is there. I'm quite happy with it. Go listen to it and enjoy the expletiveness of it. The Industrial Incisions playlist is there. Please listen to that, because there's a lot of bands on there that you need to know about. Wednesday night is Vulture Culture, where we also hang out because it's fucking dope. Big thank you to, I'm looking at faces. Oh, here we go. I can do this. Alex, welcome. So this is what Alex was listening to. This is Alex's music. This is Brett's music. This is Adam Bomb, who is very in the chats. This is Ivan's music. Rob, it's on the way. Should be there this week. Thank you again. And thank you, Rezi, for being the illustrious co-host.
You're very welcome, and thank you for having the show. And MIDI over USB doesn't have a traditional baud rate. There is no signaling rate. It just sends packets.
Good to know. I've always been interested in just what extra problems are in there, because, man, I'm telling you, I don't know. I love it. I think for fucking time code, it's better. Maybe not. I just find it's better. Or like my gear seems to work better with MIDI timecode over fucking USB. But I should check that, because the Moog one's got a hell of a lag in it. More shit about the Moog one. Okay, we're gonna raid to MTV. So if you're MTV TV, so if you're on bloody fucking anything else, there's the link. Go get them. We're going there now. We're just going to hang back here and chat for a bit. I have so much to... Oh, and by the way, please remember, we got to look after Drake. Go look after Drake. No adapt, manipulate. Red end is that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Yeah. Nord. Great synths, but not for me. And they are good synths. I don't want to take anything away from them. They do fucking beautiful things. So are we rating or not? Should I give in or should I go? Are we rating? Diana, we're rating.
It just rated. Look at that.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We're going to hang back here and have a chat. Thank you for joining us. And we'll either see you next